The two worst people that you've heard of have just linked up, and it's awful. Hello, you gorgeous donuts. Today, we're going to be covering the wildest collab the internet's ever produced today. Bonnie Blue and Andrew Tate have done a podcast together. It's actually like a trio podcast on this guy called Rob Moore's YouTube channel. He's kind of like the unbiased interviewer in the middle. I don't know what would happen if he wasn't there, if they would just end up scrapping, but hopefully that brings some balance to this. I have no idea. I wasn't going to cover this, but I put a poll on my community page on this channel and over 10,000 people said yes to me doing this video, so this is why I'm doing it. The podcast itself has already got 1.5 million views in under 24 hours, which is absolutely mental, because when I first seen this, I was like, who is the audience for this podcast? Like, who is actually sitting down and watching this because they're genuinely interested, rather than just curiosity of what they're going to talk about? We're going to cover the entire thing, and as this podcast progresses, it only gets worse, so stay tuned until the end. I do have a little bingo card just to spice this up a little bit, just to kind of help us get through this. So we're going to tick these off as follows. High value man is mentioned at least once. Bonnie putting women down for male validation, obviously to impress the two co-hosts who are males. This podcast just being awful in general. The word whore or whore is used, which I feel like is probably, you know, you'd get good odds for that on Paddy Power. The Matrix used in any capacity. Andrew referring to himself as the top G, which obviously is just like a birth control repellent in itself. Bonnie saying she's helping the youth doing what she's doing. Bonnie Blue breaking character, which apparently I've seen she does later on, so that'll be interesting to see. And they agree to sleep with each other because I don't know why I've put this on. It's kind of a rogue one. I really hope they don't, because if they do, that is going to be the most evilest baby that has ever been born. That baby will have to remain in quarantine for the rest of its time on Earth. So straight away, the podcast intro is as bad as you probably think it would be.
I'm just a clever.
You are the perfect end result of feminism. That's destructive.
By the time you finish calling me a whore, I'm going to leave this chair with a wet patch.
Rob, the world's... Bring the astral.
Yeah, already I feel like we can cross off this podcast just being awful in general. What is that intro, man? I've never seen a podcast intro like it in my life. I can't tell if they're going to be the best of friends or if this entire 2.5 hours is just going to be them arguing with each other. It's going to be interesting to actually see if they like each other, because I feel like it's more alarming if they agree with each other rather than disagree. Straight away, the host just gets into it and asks Andrew what he thinks of Bonnie sleeping with over 1,000 men in 12 hours. And he actually says he has respect for her. However, when he's asked the question, like, how would he feel if his daughter did it, he has a very different answer.
I actually have a lot of respect for you because you own it and you're honest about it.
What if it was your daughter?
Well, that won't happen.
But she's her own person.
I never said my daughter's her own person. I said women want to be their own people. But my point is, there's so many women who go to Magaluf for a weekend and do something very similar, and then they come back to England and get with some guy and start asking for presents from him and talking about how they deserve a traditional relationship and they want to get married and they want a Christmas present and all this bullshit.
Sorry, like, I don't know what world this guy lives in, but I don't know anybody, any girl that has been to Magaluf, slept with 1,000 men in under 24 hours, and then came back and told her boyfriend she wanted a Christmas present. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen that happen. If they did, wow, but I don't think that's happening.
I don't see you any different than most women. And I'm not saying that in a degrading way.
Most women don't sleep with 1,057 men in a day.
1,000? Does it matter?
I think it does.
Yeah, I think, personally, I think there's a little difference. You're single, you go to Magaluf, you sleep with someone, okay, right, that's just what kind of you do when you're young, I guess, for a lot of people. You go to Magaluf and you sleep with 1,000 people, that's not as relatable, you see. I'd say it's a little bit of a red flag, you know, if I was going to get with someone and they were like, oh, by the way, like, last year I went to Magaluf and I slept with like 1,000 people over there in under 24 hours, I would be like, this is going to put a little bit of a speed bump in this thing we've got going on right now. They say they slept with one person or whatever. I'd be like, oh, right, it was before we even knew each other. Who cares? He's basically trying to paint every single woman under the same brush here, and I don't feel like that's the right thing to say.
It's all disgusting to me. If I met a woman and she said, I just sucked a d yesterday, I'd say, well, I find you repulsive. I don't want to sleep with you. Goodbye.
What, so you're only going after virgins?
What woman does that? You've just met someone and they go, oh, by the way, I like sucked a d yesterday. Yeah, I feel like you would be like, all right, okay, what's your name? Sorry? Like, which woman is he meeting? Like, as a woman actually came up to him, and that was her first words.
So you're only going after virgins?
Well, it's not about only going after virgins, but I think if you're a straight man, the idea of having a bunch of men a woman that you're with is pretty repulsive.
But everyone has a past.
But see, this is the kind of shit white people say. I don't know what's wrong with you people. Everyone has a past. That's not acceptable. In fact, let's analyze that. Everyone has a past.
The funniest thing is, though, is that, like, he's saying that the women that he gets with aren't allowed to have slept with someone before him. Yet how many people has he slept with before he's got with that woman? Do you know what I mean? Like, if the shoe was on the other foot, he wouldn't be agreeing with what he's saying. Like, is a woman meant to, like, refrain from sleeping with anyone just for the off chance that they get the opportunity to sleep with Andrew Tate? That's a pretty big commitment. And honestly, I don't feel like the ankles are big enough payoff, if I'm honest. Sleeping with a man that shows his ankles off? Nah, not for me. Skinny chinos showing your ankles off? Nah, it's not worth it. I'd rather just sleep with other people, if I'm being honest.
But isn't the primary objective of a man to find a woman with as little past as possible? Would you argue that's one of the precursors to finding a wife?
I don't feel like it's the primary objective. You know, like some people, you know, if they haven't slept with that many people, they might not want to be with someone who has slept with a lot of people. Okay, that's just up to them. But I don't feel like it's the primary objective for everyone. To me, if you love someone and they've slept with like one person or they've slept with 10 people before you even knew them, to me that really, I guess that just wouldn't make a difference because it was before I knew you. If you were doing it when I was seeing you, then that's a different thing. And I'd be like, okay, you're a little bit of an arse. One thing I do rate about the host is at the start of this podcast, he seems to be kind of calling out Andrew for his hypocrisy quite a bit. Like a lot of times when he gets interviewed, he never really gets called out because the host's too scared to upset him. And I don't know why, in case he doesn't do another interview with them. But I like that the host is actually challenging him.
That wives were supposed to be virgins. This was the deal. The reason I'm proud of Bonnie, and I am genuinely proud of you, I like Bonnie. I like what she's doing. Because the deal was...
Are you not like contradicting yourself here?
In what way?
Well, you're proud of her sleeping with 1,057 guys, but women should be virgins.
No, I'm saying that the social contract, the construct of society that made family function was women were obedient virgins and they found a man who provided for them and they listened to that man. Women have then said, we don't like the patriarchy. We're tired of being provided for. We're tired of being taken care of. We don't want to listen to anybody. We want to make our own decisions. That was women and feminism that ended the traditional family.
I love that this guy just uses big words and it's almost like he himself has convinced himself that everything he says is so profound and so like everything he speaks is fact, whereas in reality he's just a professional bullshitter. Like he wears sunglasses indoors, he wears chains, he wears like a he tries to portray it as if he's like this really great person you should listen to, whereas in reality, like it's just bullshit. You've even got Bonnie Blue nodding her head at you. If Bonnie Blue's agreeing with you on something, chances are you're going down the wrong path here. Bonnie hasn't actually spoken at all, really, like 4 minutes into this podcast, and it's mainly because Andrew kind of doesn't let anyone else speak. Like, he basically just talks over people to get his opinion across. And that's definitely one of his tactics to stop people kind of like combating his claims. He just kind of speaks over them a lot of the time. But when she does, she says that what she is doing is empowering for women. This is part of our brand, our character, that she always portrays this message to people.
And now women can make their own decisions. So I'm glad that Bonnie's making her own decision.
Yeah,
I'm not here to
people
tell you not to do
say
it.
I take women back 100 years. I'm like, no, I'm the clear example of how to be empowered. I use my body. I do what I want, when I want. And this is the thing you've been banging on about for years. And when I get hate, like when I click on the comments of these women that are like, oh, you're taking us back 100 years. Then in their bio, it says stay-at-home mom of 2. I'm thinking, what the f*** was you rooting for? Because you have just stayed at home.
That's right, Bonnie. See, this is the future.
The internet has to pay for making these two people two of the most famous, I guess, influencers. Would you call them influencers? Notorious, infamous influencers. That's the word for them. How these two have got in a position where they're getting 1.5 million views in under a day for, like, what they've done is absolutely wild. Bonnie's basically saying that everything that women have campaigned for is like, she's the living embodiment of its success. Every single woman watching this is like, finally, all our protests, everything we've done for years, finally one of us is allowed to sleep with 1,000 men in a day. This is exactly what we wanted. We should be kneeling down to her. And not in a kinky way. I feel like already we can tick off Bonnie putting women down for male validation. She basically just kind of put down every single woman, every single stay-at-home mother there. This podcast just being awful in general. I feel like we can tick this off. Already the vibe is just off. I don't know why, but I am surprised that they seem to be not arguing with each other. Like, they seem to agree with each other on every point so far. And that's like more worrying than people think. I feel like a lot of Andrew Tate fans are expecting him to just kind of like just drag her and just say the worst possible stuff to her because that's what they do. Whereas in reality, he's kind of flipped the script and he's just agreeing with that. And obviously it's because they both have negative kind of views on women in general. So of course they're going to be friends when you think about it. Andrew thinks that you should own women, and then Bonnie Blue thinks that men are allowed to do whatever they want with women, and you know, you're just there to kind of please them. Of course these two are going to be best friends. I find it interesting that the host keeps asking Andrew Tate, like, oh, how would you feel if your daughter was doing what Bonnie's doing? And you can tell Andrew really doesn't like this question.
What would you do if it was your daughter, though?
But why are you asking impossible questions?
Well, it's not an impossible question.
Of course it is.
How?
It can't happen.
But anything can happen.
It's against the laws of physics.
It's not.
I mean, if your daughter opened her legs and took 1,000 dicks, it's not impossible.
Of course it is.
What?
Why is
the
it
dicks would
impossible?
enter her pussy, therefore she's taken.
It's literally impossible for my daughter.
What, are you going to be there against your daughter's pussy saying that not entering it?
No, my daughter.
I think, like, I don't know the age of Andrew Tate's kids, but I imagine his daughter's pretty young. Like, to speak about her like this, you know, what are we doing here? Like, I don't know how old she is, but this, if she is young, this is like, why are you using this language? It's weird. It just is. Like, imagine someone was talking about your daughter's, like, parts like this when just young. You'd be like, what the fuck? They're just speaking as if this is just normal. They're just so desensitized to it.
Because I still raise her in a household where she is masculinely guided, and she will be guided by me until I hand her over to some other man. However, I believe when women are left to their own devices, they will only ever make stupid decisions.
Was mine a stupid decision?
I wouldn't say it's any more stupid than most decisions women make, to be honest with you. I think that most women, to some degree, are workers anyway.
This guy, man. I feel like this entire video I'm going to be like, nah, just don't agree. Just don't agree. When we've reacted to like previous interviews with Bonnie Blue, she's very much like taken the lead, and she's very much the one who kind of disagrees with everything that the host says. It's almost like, I feel like she feels a little bit intimidated here because she's kind of just agreeing with him. Like when he's coming out with this, the worst of the worst stuff that I imagine even Bonnie doesn't really agree with. She's kind of just making a joke of it, or just kind of agreeing. I don't know whether further into this podcast she'll gain a little bit more confidence and actually like go back and forth with him, hopefully. But so far this is literally just Andrew there and the rest are just listening to it. This is literally just like being at like a 3 a.m. afters, and there's one person that just won't shut up and you can't leave until your Uber's there, and your Uber's like 15 minutes away and they're just talking about how they're gonna fix the world and you can't get away. God, imagine him being your mate, man. Like imagine being stuck in an afters with just him. You'd be gutted. You'd be like, oh mate, just shut the up, man. Just please. I don't care. Can I just play Mario Kart, man?
I think every day a woman goes without having kids is primarily a waste of time. But once again, what does it matter what I think? Rob, I've given up. Rob, I've given up trying to save the world. I've given up. No, Rob. I've given up. I've given up on misogyny.
One thing about Andrew is, like, he's clever the way he words things. Like, he'll say the worst thing, arguably the worst thing ever. And then he kind of, like, after it, he just goes, oh, well, who actually cares what I think? And just kind of takes the weight off what he's just said so he can't get in trouble for it. Because right now, I'm pretty sure the man has, like, double figures amount of cases against him, like, currently ongoing. So if he slips up in this interview, that's going to give so much fuel to any of these cases. Every time he gets too involved and says something like too controversial, he instantly just takes the weight off it and just kind of revokes any responsibility for what he's just said.
All this
no,
shit.
You haven't.
They attacked me with the Matrix. They keep throwing me in jail. I am now all for women empowerment. I think.
Oh, wait a minute. Bingo. Well, not bingo yet, but we've got another one. The Matrix used in any capacity. There we go. Come on. One of the wildest things that has came from the birth of Andrew Tate is all of these, like, random men thinking they know the ins and outs of this Matrix. That's one of their most hilarious concepts.
I like what Bonnie's doing. She's getting the bag. She's getting rich. Most girls out here don't want to have kids. They just want to get Birkin bags and Instagram likes. Good. I'm a feminist, a pro-feminism. This is the world now.
What women are you hanging around with? Yes, I imagine if someone got given a Birkin bag, they'd probably take it. But I don't know a single person in my life who is a woman who her only primary objectives are to get Instagram likes or desperately get a Birkin bag. Like, that's the type of people you're hanging around with, I imagine, in these, like, really expensive clubs or whatever. Of course, that type of person is going to get attracted to that and attracted to Andrew Tate in general. But in reality, like, the average woman is not like this. Neither is the average man. The average man's not trying to have a Lamborghini or try and, you know, get as many likes on Instagram. He just wants to provide for his family. This is the most annoying thing when listening to these two, is their scope of reality is just so off because they're so rich and they almost just forget how it is for everyone else. Now, going into this podcast, I was of the idea that Bonnie Blue is like a full-on character. Like, everything she says is to provoke rage and, like, obviously rage bait to get more views, more likes, and that's like our entire brand, and that's how she kind of brings the money in, and she probably doesn't actually, you know, mean most of the things she says. However, the more I listen to her on this podcast, I actually think that this is just who she is.
See, women go around, use their advantage, but then are happy to cry about it straight away, saying, oh, he took advantage of me. And it's like, you're the one that wanted to have like the job promotion, or you're the one that wanted to have sex to get more attention or try and be more liked, but then they cry about it. And that's what I get frustrated about. And even with stars, like people in my industry, they'll do this for a few years, get the money, get the boob jobs, get the house, and then suddenly they go, oh my God, I was forced into the industry. Oh my God, someone took all my money.
Have you ever considered a job as a lawyer? Because I could do with you.
I don't think you're generalising again. It's a sense of reality that isn't normality for everyone else. Let's say two people work at McDonald's, okay? One sleeps with the other one, and then, like, the guy takes advantage of the girl. The girl wasn't sleeping with this person to, you know, get higher up in McDonald's. Like, this, you're treating your experience or stuff you've seen as if that's what everyone does. That's not, like, reality. It's a really dangerous message to put out there, and I know, like, you know, a lot of people say whenever we do a video on Bonnie Blue, like, oh, there's no point reacting to these people, like, you're platforming them even more. To an extent, I agree, and that's why I actually said in my last video I'm not going to do it anymore. But I do think it's important to have voices against this as well, because if you just ignore it, like, if everyone ignores it, there's no voices combating it. Do you know what I mean? And when it's already getting so many views, you're not actually platforming them even more, because I'm not going to get even a tenth of views as what this actual podcast ends up getting. I just think it's important to make sure you've got as many other voices out there that doesn't agree with this sort of message, just because young people, they need help, you know what I mean? You can just tell off Bonnie's face when she says this as well. Like, she kind of gets like a weird buzz off it. It's almost like she's gained the validation of Andrew because he agrees with her. It's almost like that gives her a little buzz, which obviously is because she thrives off male validation.
I think she's just more honest about it and more upfront about it. If you're going to go to Dubai and meet a girlfriend and you think she hasn't been for money the entire time she was living in Dubai, then you're an idiot. If you're in Miami and you got girls on your boat and you think they're not for money all of the time. Now, they may not say per hour, but they'll be a guy they barely like to get the rent paid, or they're a guy they barely like because he has a car.
Yeah.
So women are for money all the time anyway. That's all women do now. The entire Western world is women for money. So how?
I imagine there's some women watching this, you know, who you have a boyfriend, you have a husband, you know, and, you know, they're making a living, they're working really hard, but the primary objective of, you know, you being with them is not for money. You're with them because you love them. Like, that's the primary thing. But Andrew Tate thinks that every single woman is sleeping with a man because of the money they've got. It's just not the case. It's really not the case. In Dubai, I imagine the percentage of that is a lot higher because that's just the general vibe of it, it seems. But you're saying every single woman in the Western world... Nah, just factually, it's incorrect. We're going to take a closer look at the end of this video at the comments on this podcast because they're all kind of praising Andrew. However, I feel like the host is doing a good job of just catching him in his kind of hypocrisy quite often.
It's a disgusting misogynist, but since they keep
But you don't have one beautiful marriage, do you?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Have you slept with 1,057 women?
At least.
So are you quite similar?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because it's the male's prerogative to impregnate as many females as possible. This is the masculine prerogative. This is biologically my prerogative is to do that.
That's what we've got to do. That's our purpose as a man. I've been doing it wrong the entire time. I should have been just out on the streets, just shouting, "Oi! I've got a mission. I've got to impregnate as many people as possible. Who wants it?" So the reason you're any different to Bonnie Blue, even though you've slept with the same amount of people, is because, like, as a man, it's your job to do that. I don't think that's the case, mate. Like, did one person say this, like, in caveman times, and you're just kind of running around with it? If you want to have loads of babies with your partner and you're supposed to agree to that, right, then you go for it. Be like Tyson Fury, have more kids than years you've lived. But with multiple people, that's just, like, terrible. Because what happens if you have, like, 1,000 kids? How are you meant to be a dad to all them kids? Like, all of them kids are gonna, like, grow up without a dad. That's not a positive thing.
We should do a breeding competition. We'll see if you can get a girl pregnant quicker than I can get pregnant.
Well,
that's a terrible YouTube video. Don't put a an AI thumbnail on that. That'll just be dreadful. I can just see it now. Both our faces like. That would be the worst collab YouTube has ever had.
No, but let's be purely animalistic. Let's talk about this like professionals. If a man is high value, high testosterone.
Yes! Come on! There we go. Bang! Another one off the bingo. Thank you very much, Andrew. The first positive thing you've ever done.
Alpha male, whatever you want to call him, right? His imperative is to impregnate women. And he wants to take care of those women and take care of those kids. He's not overly interested in the kids. It doesn't mean he doesn't love them. It means he doesn't want to sit there and play with them all day. When you see a man who wants to play with a baby all day, that man is probably gay.
Fellas, can I ask you a question? Having a child with the person you love, and then obviously the child's born, and you spend time with the child, and you're always there for the child, is that gay? They're changing the rules all the time in what it is to be gay. Before it used to be, you just, it's just your preference on who you sleep with. Now you can't even play with your kid otherwise someone's gonna walk past your window and just go, haha, gay, that's gay. Building Lego with your son, gay. Oh, so gay, mate. That's so gay. In my opinion, like, what would make me feel like a high value man is if I was like always there for my family and I was there every single day and just like no matter what happened, I was always providing for them, and that like I'm just being a good dad. I feel like that is a high value man. Not going on podcasts and just speaking really loudly, wearing sunglasses. In my opinion, I don't class that as a high value man. I don't look at him and go, I want to be him. That's what I aspire to be. I know some people do, and it's based on opinion, but for me, I just don't get it.
No, he's gay. He's gay. So, real men just want to pregnant, money, cool. See you an hour a week. Boom, boom, boom. Now, there's a lot of men who are going to disagree with me on that, but those are a lot of men I can beat the shit out of, so I don't give a f. That's the truth of it.
To be fair, that's the rules, right? If someone disagrees with you, if you can beat the shit out of them, then your opinion was always right in the first place. We all know that. That's like the first rule to teach in school. That's why I've lost every single opinion I've ever had. I just get beat up every time. I'm working on it though. I am trying to work on it. I think it's me psoriasis. It makes us like less aerodynamic. Like I can't run away as fast. Like I'm a spoiler on my arm.
Like, I used to be a full service worker, like an escort, and I used to judge men that cheated. And then when I actually started speaking to these men, I was like, you know what? They've got a point. They're going to work. They're looking after their kids. They're still emptying the dishes because the wife's now refusing to do that, saying it should be equal. And then I say, well, when's the last time she gave you a blowjob? When's the last time she f***ed you? They couldn't name it. They couldn't even list the amount of times where they've had intercourse. I'm like, of course you're going to need that. Of course you're going to cheat. So how can I ever say women are anything but lazy and poorly educated?
I mean, that is the obvious thing you do, if you're going through a bit of a dry patch with your partner. Like, you don't talk about it and just ask it's just chatting it out and seeing if how they can kind of get around this or how they can kind of, get the spark back. Scrap that. You just go and sleep with someone else. That solves it. That makes everything 10 times easier and better.
I'm a clear example of what women have fought for years. Of
what?
Taking control of your body.
Correct.
Being independent. I earn my own money. I don't rely on a guy. I'm
Girl
paid
power.
Exactly. I'm paid more than other guys.
100%.
Do you think
this is interesting because Bonnie's like, I actually feel like she believes this, and then she thinks Andrew's agreeing with her, but he's taking the piss out of her. He's basically like, this feeds into his whole narrative. Like, this is what feminism has got you. It's got you someone like Bonnie Blue being the perfect feminist. That's the thing he's trying to portray her as. Whereas Bonnie Blue, I know I'm a man, and I don't want to. My opinion on feminism and everything, it's not as good as what an actual woman, but I think it's so easy to see that Bonnie Blue is not the epitome of feminism, is what I'm trying to say. What she does and how she lets men treat her is not powerful for women. Even the way she let Andrew Tate speak to her on this podcast, he's just speaking down to her the entire thing.
I'm just a clever.
You're just very good. She is very good at what she's decided to do. If you're going to be a whore, and most women watching this, and most men, hello, you're
bingo! Sorry guys, I know you said the worst thing ever, but was used, obviously. It was going to happen. It's going to happen. We're 20 minutes in. It had to happen.
They're all whore anyway. If you're going to be a whore, no disrespect, you may as well be good at it. Get a media empire, get rich, let everyone know your name, and get paid. Why are you going out to the pub, getting drunk, and meeting a man who's funny, and getting in a toilet for free? Are you dumb?
Who is doing that? Who? Yes, there probably is a couple of people, right, that have shagged in a toilet. But in reality, not many people find someone and then go, do you want to just quickly go to the toilet and just get this over with, yeah? Some people are attracted to people who are funny because not everything is just about sleeping with each other. Yes, it's like an important thing, but for some people, they just actually want to be happy, like emotionally, not just have sex with someone.
The world's going to anyway, so whether or not we've got more kids in it or not, it's regardless. So just live your life the best. You're going to be dead in however many years anyway.
Fair.
So don't stress too much.
Fair. And this is what I like about Bonnie Blue. Bonnie Blue is my favorite. This is my favorite everything. Fair. Because what you just said, I understand and I agree with.
But it's selfish.
But what have I said?
Why should I not be selfish? Why should I give a shit about someone else that pays less tax than me, has, sits and complains, makes TikToks about me? Like, I couldn't give a shit if your life's going by the looks of it. You live in a council house, you've got a couple of kids with different dads. I don't care. So why should I sit there and think, I should do something to help you? I don't care. I should focus on myself. And if more people did that, the world would actually be a better place. But they've become so fixated on other people. I'm like, where's your life? Why are you not focusing on yourself? Like, look in the mirror, you're fat, go and do something about it. Your teeth have that much plaque on it. Like, you're
Now, that is the most interesting part of this podcast. That's the first time you've actually seen her just break character and just kind of like get it off her chest. That is like the true Bonnie Blue there. Like, behind her actual name, is it like Tia or something? Like, that's her. That's not a character. Like, she just couldn't stop herself there. It was almost like the mask slipped of like rage bait and like her actual views just came out. The fact that she's like talking about people in council houses. Like, I know that this woman grew up like fairly wealthy. Like, why are you punching down to these people are like appearing to punch down? You have been given like a fortunate start in life where, you've had opportunities. I believe like her ex-husband was even went to private school. Like, she had a nice life. And I guess if you don't have the perspective of ever meeting someone from like, I guess you think lower than you, you're probably going to have a negative opinion on them, whether that's right or wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, trying to get this from her perspective. But the fact that you like take the out of them, that leaves a proper sour taste in my mouth, and it's like elitist. I really don't like that. And also, like, why do you base people based on how much tax they're paying? Like, nobody is going to be paid as much tax as you. And if you are actually paid all the tax, I have no idea how she kind of sorts her accounts. You're basing people's worth to you based on what their tax returns is, and that is just so shallow. And it just shows that she values power and money over anything rather than how nice of a person someone is. That little bit tells you all you need to know about this woman.
And how does that help society?
Workers help like reduce rape rates by over 30%.
That sound like a stat you just made up.
No, Google it.
Yeah, that's probably true. Mental health, it's good for mental health as well. It
The
stops
true
men
fact is
killing
32%.
themselves. Yeah, stops men killing themselves. Because work's an important part of the world.
So imagine like if you're
Are
a
you
rapist.
saying that because you had a webcam business?
Wait. Actually, I feel like Bonnie saying that is Bonnie saying she's helping the youth because she's lowering them rates. So I feel like we can scratch that off. Also, that was one of the worst things I think I've ever heard. I've just Googled it, and this actually is a stat that apparently there's like a correlation between like people engaging with this content and lowering them rates. I don't know how they've worked it out, but apparently it's a thing. That might be true for, a lot of the other part of the industry. However, I don't think it's specifically true for what Bonnie Blue does. If anything, it promotes that, in my opinion, because 1,000 men seeing this vulnerable person and just using them how they want, and that person can't say anything to them really. How is that lowering those? That doesn't make sense in my head. She's putting herself in that statistic, whereas in reality, I feel like she's actually the one probably, bringing the percentage down there. Also, I just want to make a note of this. Like, this is my first time watching Andrew Tate like uncut for a prolonged period of time. Like, I've seen short clips of him and 10-minute videos, but for watching him for like hours on end, it's so interesting to see like how he kind of speaks within a podcast, because the reason why he often doesn't get like combated is what I've said previously in this video. He talks very assertively. He really like talks as if he really knows what he's speaking about. A lot of confidence, a lot of assertiveness. He always raises his voice. He never lets anyone else speak, and he almost kind of, when he's in a situation like this, he can bully his opinion to be the most forceful one, which makes it seem like it's right, whereas in reality, most of the time it's not. It's just because he says it with the most confidence. Have you ever been in a situation where you are like really knowledgeable on a topic, and someone who isn't is trying to like preach to you about this topic, but they're like shouting at you and saying it really assertively, that they're convinced they know what they're talking about, but because you know about the topic, you just kind of let them talk? Like, it's kind of like that. Just because he says it assertively does not mean it is right.
So Bonnie's a...
I don't want to insult Bonnie Blue.
You can't insult me.
I mean, you called her when I last talked to you.
No, I said she was a whore. And
I said, what's the difference between a and a whore?
Well, there is a big difference, because whores get paid. And whores are actually a much higher social standing than us, because whores are fucking dumb and they're doing it for free.
Yeah.
Whores make money. So I think she's a whore.
that difference.
Well, now you do.
I don't think anyone did. I think this is just made up in his head. Like, this is just what he lives by, and now he's trying to say everyone lives by this.
Right, Rob, on your son's 18th birthday, I'll be stood on the driveway with a balloon and a happy birthday card. I'll take his virginity, but I'll take him to a safe, controlled environment. I'm not going to cry the next day. I'm STD tested. I can educate him on a body. So the next girl he sleeps with, because if that's the girl he falls in love with, she's going to want a good shag. She's going to want to be pleasured. She's want to walk away from him and go, that was good. Yeah, I want to see him again. I want to stay loyal to him because he was amazing in the bedroom.
Rob, you should do it.
Do you really believe this?
Rob, do
Yeah.
it.
Okay, would you send your son to Bonnie, age 18, birthday?
I don't need to, but you need.
The fact she actually believes in this, man, like, this is just, what are we doing? I'm having like an existential crisis here. I'm like, this is actually, like, I'm actually watching real people say this. This is not a movie. This is not a Black Mirror episode. This is happening right now. And it's real, and it's scary. Now, honestly, Donuts, like, I've skimmed through the rest of this podcast, and a lot of it, they're just kind of talking about the exact same thing. They're just going over the exact same points, but just kind of rewording them. They agree on every single point that, like, they have with each other, which is, again, I think this podcast has been more negative for Bonnie to be a part of than Andrew, because this is just kind of what people have come to expect from him. Like, people know he has terrible opinions on these sort of matters. But before going into this, a lot of people did think, including myself, that Bonnie was a character and a lot of it was rage bait. Yet when you do a 2.5 hour podcast, it's basically impossible to stay in character because it's just a raw, authentic chat. It's not edited. And a lot of times during this, her, in my opinion, her actual views have came out, and it's made it just this entire brand that she has a lot more sinister because she actually really means this. It's not just rage bait, and that is worrying. How much did we get off the bingo thing, by the way? We got High Value Man, Bonnie putting women down, podcast being awful, whore, Matrix. We didn't get the top G. Okay, and they didn't agree to sleep with each other, from what I've seen. If anyone did see that who watched this entire thing, let me know, but I don't think them two. I mean, I'll take 7 out of 9. That's a victory in my eyes. Also, I was surprised that when I went in the comments, like, the amount of, like, glazing Andrew Tate fans are giving him is crazy. They're treating him like a genius here. Tate made the wise move here. He didn't come at her with his viral arguments. He just let the circus happen. I mean, if you probably, like, broke down this podcast, I don't think he let anything happen. He talked for, like, 98% of it. Bonnie thinking that Andrew was on her side while Andrew was just using her the whole podcast to make up his point about today's world and feminism. Good one, Jimmy. But like I said in my previous video on Bonnie Blue, that is the last time I'll ever cover Bonnie Blue as a solo video. This one is just obviously, like, got Andrew Tate. We've covered him in the past. It made sense enough. Obviously, after the poll, that was the sole reason why I did this video, because he wanted it. But now I'm done with this. Like, I know if anything, I'm done. Like, I can't cover these anymore. They just do me head in. I know I've tried to make this lighthearted, but it's just getting harder and harder. So I hope you did enjoy my coverage of this, Donuts, and it made you not actually give the actual podcast views, just me. Anyway, Donuts, I will see you in the next one, and if you want to watch another video from me, click this one right here. Okay, go on a binge watch, probably a lighter watch than this one, won't be odd.
Kirkham, baby.